real
And now
personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down. The bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some gold.
Hey, party, am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that?
Were you surprised by the allegations about P. Diddy? Did that surprise you about P. Diddy? He's been on your show many times. Have you been to his...
I just hit on something wild. Joe Rogan dropped a comment that's got everyone talking. And this time, he's pointing fingers at the silence surrounding Ellen DeGeneres. With the Diddy situation blowing up all over headlines, people keep asking the same question. How come no one's connecting the dots when Ellen's name keeps sliding into the mix? It's like everyone's pretending not to notice. When Diddy got slammed with those serious federal charges, the internet did what it does best. Started digging up old clips, forgotten interviews, and moments that once felt harmless but now hit totally different when you look back. That's exactly where Ellen gets pulled in. People began replaying clips of Ellen and Diddy on her show, looking super comfortable.
All right, we're back with Sean Diddy Combs. Is it Diddy today? Because sometimes you're Puffy and sometimes you're Diddy. Or sometimes you're Daddy. What are you today?
I'm so confused today with it, as long as you say it in a nice way.
Laughing, joking, and chatting about those wild parties like it was nothing. But now, with the way the whole conversation shifted, those old clips don't seem so innocent anymore. Viewers are watching them again like there's something more hidden beneath the laughs. Now here's the twist. Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He said there's a reason people aren't calling out Ellen the way they're calling out everyone else. Even though Diddy showed up on her show several times, that party talk wasn't just a one-liner. It was casual, it was recorded, and now it's being reinterpreted as a piece of a much bigger story. And when you really think about it, that silence around her feels deafening. It raises a heavy question. Is it just bad timing, or is this one of those topics no one wants to touch? Things get even stranger when you remember how Ellen's show ended after that big workplace scandal. That wasn't just gossip, it completely flipped how people saw her.
A new thing, are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right, not too late though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late, because you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Then came the move to the UK with Portia, which Ellen publicly linked to the political climate. But let's be real, not everyone bought that. Some watchers saw that timing and thought, nah, that looks like a message. Fair or not, that's how it's being read. Coincidence? Maybe, but the audience doesn't deal in maybe, and that's exactly why they're digging through old receipts, trying to figure out what really went down behind the scenes. Alright, before diving deeper into what Joe Rogan said, let's rewind for a sec and look at why Ellen's name is even part of this whole situation. When BuzzFeed News dropped that bombshell report on her show, it completely shattered her be kind image overnight.
You may have heard this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
Former staff came forward talking about intimidation, racism, and toxic management. Some even said they felt scared to speak up because of possible backlash. What really stuck with people was that massive contrast. Her brand screamed kindness and positivity, but the behind-the-scenes stories painted a totally different picture, one filled with pressure and control. The backlash got so intense that several executive producers were fired, and Ellen had to face it publicly. But even after her apology, the debate didn't fade away. People kept asking, was it just a few bad producers, or was that toxic energy baked into the show's culture itself? Ellen claimed she didn't know everything happening behind the curtain, and that's where opinions split wide open. Some believed her, while others said, no way, not buying it. Either way, her reputation took a serious hit. The show limped along for a bit, but when it finally ended, Ellen said she stopped because it wasn't challenging anymore. Still, a lot of viewers saw it differently. They thought the trust was broken and never really recovered. Now here's where Joe Rogan jumps in.
I guess Diddy just kept people at his houses because he's got multiple houses and he's just had freak out part. Look at him. Look at Saucy Santana. Go, Saucy.
Yeah. No, Saucy's crazy. Have you seen Saucy?
On his podcast, while discussing the Diddy situation, Rogan said it's wild how so many celebrities openly joked about Diddy's parties for years, like it was some kind of flex. He even brought up names like Ashton Kutcher and others who bragged about being at those parties, almost like it was an achievement. Then he dropped the kicker. One of the biggest places where those party convos happened on camera was Ellen's show. Rogan's whole point hit like a punch. How did all these big-name celebs hang around those parties for years, talk about them so openly on TV, laugh it off on national TV, and still claim they never saw anything suspicious? Especially now when the current allegations paint a totally different picture. What really made it sting was that the party talk back then wasn't just subtle, it was right there on camera. There's one clip from a 2018 interview that people can't stop replaying. In it, Diddy tells Ellen he always invites her to his parties, but she never shows up. Then he adds, the parties start early, but the real party starts later, around midnight on the top floors. And Ellen reacts like she already knows exactly what he means.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really, that early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then the after party.
No.
That's the moment people can't shake off. It's burned into the timeline. So let's unpack why this little exchange matters so much and why Joe Rogan thinks it's strange that Ellen's name barely comes up when the story gets covered in mainstream media. Ellen had Diddy on her show several times, and the party talk wasn't just some random slip, it became a running joke between them. People also started digging up older moments, like that 2002 Conan O'Brien interview where Diddy joked about needing locks on the doors at his parties. Back then, it came off like edgy humor, but when you watch it now, it doesn't sound funny anymore. It feels more like a red flag. Whether that's a fair take or not, that's how the public's seeing it. And once those clips started spreading again, the question turned sharp. What did Ellen actually know, if anything, and why is she staying so quiet about it?
Up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that. It's been going on. Oh yeah, I got kicked.
Fans even brought back an old 2016 tweet where Ellen nicknamed him Cuddle Snuggle Stuff, which only added more fuel to the online chatter. Then came those viral moments where she got approached with questions and didn't respond. Some people said her body language looked uncomfortable, while others said she just seemed caught off guard like anyone would. But no matter which side you're on, it threw even more fire into the debate, and people can't stop talking about it. Rogan's message stays sharp and straight to the point. If you were close enough to have Diddy on your show several times, crack jokes about that wild party culture on national TV, and react like you already know what those hints mean, then people are absolutely going to expect you to speak up when things get serious. And that's where Rogan says the silence gets weird, not just from Ellen, but from a lot of familiar names who used to be part of that same scene. He's not claiming anything illegal, but he's pointing out how suspicious the quiet looks from a public perception angle. But hold on, it gets deeper. Let's not forget that workplace scandal that tore through Ellen's show.
The temple, and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background. What? Oh, similar. That looks like a building, though.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that a building in LA? That might be a building in LA.
Former staff described an environment where people felt too scared to speak up, where power and pressure ruled the room. Commenters online have started drawing parallels between that same culture of silence and how they imagine certain Hollywood circles operate when influence is in play. Again, that doesn't mean Ellen did anything criminal, but it does show why Ellen's name keeps getting looped back into the conversation. And then there are those repeated behind-the-scenes stories people always bring up, like the Ellen gaze from a former crew member who described the set as tense and cold, or claims that certain guests were quietly kept off the show over personal beefs. Whether every single detail is true or not, people say the pattern looks the same: Control, pressure, and silence. And once the public starts spotting a pattern like that, they don't just watch old clips anymore, they start reinterpreting them. And here's where things take a wild turn. One moment people keep revisiting as the biggest contrast ever. Back in 2009, right after Chris Brown was accused of assaulting Rihanna, Ellen called out Diddy directly on her show for letting Chris stay at his house. She looked firm, serious, and completely against any form of abuse, saying she didn't want any girl thinking it's okay to go back to a guy who hit her. It was one of those moments that made her look like she was taking a stand for what's right. But now, years later, people are replaying that same clip through a different lens and asking whether that tough stance really matched what was happening behind her own scenes. Then came the twist no one missed. When those workplace allegations around Ellen's own show started spreading, former staff spoke out again, describing what they said felt like toxic behavior and a culture that crossed lines. And that's why so many people called it hypocrisy, not because anyone proved a crime, but because the contrast was too sharp to ignore. One minute she's saying, "I'm protecting women," and the next, reports are painting her own set as chaotic and harmful behind the scenes. Now, zooming out a bit, things got even more suspicious when Ellen and Portia reportedly sold their Montecito mansion and moved to rural England. Publicly, the move was tied to the political climate, but a lot of viewers didn't buy that. They took the timing and immediately blended it into the bigger Diddy conversation, especially since his legal situation was grabbing massive attention. People started keeping tabs on which celebrities were speaking up and which ones stayed completely silent. And that's when the online rabbit hole went off the rails. Rumors began flying that Ellen supposedly had an arrest warrant connected to her former DJ, Stephen Twitch, who tragically passed away in late 2022, and that some mysterious recording had been played in court. Fact-checkers quickly shot that down as totally false, but what really stood out was how fast the rumor exploded across social media. People weren't even asking, "Is this true?" They were asking, "Does this fit the story we've already built?" With Ellen's public image already damaged, her name became a magnet for any dark, shocking claim that could tie into a Hollywood secrets storyline. And that's the real danger here. Because once the crowd gets hooked, a rumor can spread faster than any verified fact. Still, the distrust toward Ellen feels real, and that's why these stories refuse to die. Even in her Netflix special, For Your Approval, Ellen tried to face it head-on, joking about being pushed out of show business, and even saying that the "Be Kind Girl Wasn't Kind" headline basically became her whole identity. But some people didn't laugh. They listened to her tone. They noticed how she spoke about ego, exposure, and how loud the hate gets compared to the love. She said, "There are such extremes in this business. People either love you and idolize you, or they hate you. And those people, somehow, are louder." That moment hit differently for a lot of viewers, because instead of hearing accountability, they heard something else entirely. To some, it sounded like deflection, like she was still processing the fallout rather than fully owning it. And just when things seemed to quiet down, another viral moment hit the internet, pushing the entire conversation even further into the deep end. Things got even wilder when Aaron Rodgers went on Joe Rogan's podcast and casually compared Ellen's old talk show set to Epstein Island, just because the architecture looked kinda similar. Rogan shut that down immediately, saying it looked more like a building in LA and was probably pure coincidence. But the fact that it even came up says everything about where Ellen's reputation stands right now. People online are literally trying to plot her name onto the same conspiracy map used for some of the darkest stories in modern history. Not because there's any real proof, but because the internet eats up a storyline that feels cinematic and scandalous. It's not about evidence anymore. It's about how a rumor feels. So what's the crowd saying about all this? Let's break down the noise and spot the pattern instead of just the insults. Some commenters joked, "Is that a building in LA? That might be a building in," mocking how quickly people jump to conclusions. Others went deeper, saying Ellen knew something and pointed out how she's now living quietly in England while Diddy deals with the federal case. Then you've got a group claiming Joe Rogan is just saying what everyone else is too scared to say. asking why certain celebrities get dragged through the mud while others seem to get a softer edit in the headlines. And of course, the internet loves body language breakdowns. Clips of Ellen avoiding questions are making rounds again, with people calling her facial expressions guilty-looking. But let's be real, that's not proof, that's perception. And perception is what keeps these online battles going non-stop. Scroll through the comments and you'll see the same storyline forming on repeat. The toxic workplace scandal, an apology that didn't land right, a sudden move overseas that people read like a secret message, and now the Diddy talk blowing up again, all tied together into one messy, dramatic narrative that refuses to fade. And that right there, that's the real engine behind this whole story. People feel like Ellen never truly faced real consequences, so now they're searching for a deeper explanation. Remember the question from the very start? Why does it feel like no one wants to bring up Ellen's name in this whole Diddy conversation? Well, here's the answer most people land on. They believe she's being handled differently. Not in a legal or official sense, but in a she's still Ellen DeGeneres kind of way. It's about connections, influence, long-standing relationships, and the power to quietly shape a narrative even after walking away from daytime TV. But what's changing now is this. Voices like Joe Rogan don't follow those unspoken Hollywood rules. They'll say the quiet part out loud, not as a judgment, but as a question. And once a massive platform starts treating something like a valid question, the internet takes it and runs wild. The real controversy here isn't that Ellen's being painted as worse than Diddy. That would be a reckless stretch. The controversy is about why some names get grilled non-stop, while others seem to get a softer edit in the headlines, even when the same kind of clips, quotes, and weird optics are sitting right there in the open. That's exactly why the conversation refuses to die. Diddy's case basically triggered a full rewind. People started rewatching old interviews, replaying past jokes, and reanalyzing every glance or tone like it might reveal something deeper. What used to be harmless talk show moments are now being viewed like clues in a mystery. So what's next for Ellen? Honestly, most likely a quiet, low-profile life overseas, unless someone comes forward with real, verifiable evidence tying her to something criminal. Not rumors, not body language theories, not vague vibes. She'll probably be remembered for that workplace scandal era and the frosty reputation that followed it, more than for any link to Diddy's world. As for Diddy, the road ahead is far from over. There are appeals, court filings, civil suits, and a non-stop wave of stories that keep pulling more names into the mix, some who belong in the narrative and others who just get caught in the echo. And that's where it all loops back. Perception over proof, silence over statements, and a crowd that can't stop connecting dots, even when the lines aren't clear. So what do you think about all this? Do you believe Ellen knew more than she ever admitted? Or is this just the internet doing what it always does, turning speculation into a spectacle?